कि बेकार से बेजार हूँ मैं, तुमसे कुछ और जो मांगूं तो गुनहगार हूँ मैं, एक छोटी सी नौकरी का तलबगार हूँ.
Cinema itself is an institution for people, but what makes it worse nowadays is that most of the projects made are far from the reality of our community and country. Just like the usual days, I was strolling back to the old memories I have, and then accidentally I recognized and hummed a tune for a very famous song of that era, Ek Choti Si Naukari. It took me back to my childhood, where I realized I never understood the meaning of unemployment, leave alone responsibility. With that being said, hello there. I'm Shelza, your host and narrator for our second episode of Vintage Nostalgia, and today I'll be taking you back to 1954 and talk about a movie that is an exact depiction and reality for our society that was same 70 years ago and still is. The problem with most of the Indian filmmakers back in the day is that they typecasted every other actor for a certain role. Same as the tragedy which happened with my favorite actor and my favorite person, Shri Abhas Kumar Ganguly or our beloved Kishore, who in the movie Naukari plays the role of Ratan Kumar Chaudhary, with a perfect shade of sorrow, disappointment, and problems faced by Indians of those era. Ratan, a poor man, has the responsibility of raising his younger sister and taking care of his mom. The worst part is, he is more qualified than those around him doing demeanor or heinous jobs and they're still earning money. But Ratan is facing the disease of unemployment. When he finally gets a letter of appointment from Bombay, he travels all the way from Calcutta to Bombay to get that job, which was probably paying 100 rupees a month to him. And mind you, this is less than what he's been qualified for. But then he thinks at least something is better than nothing. And unfortunately, while going, he somehow loses the letter of appointment from the company. This leaves his shattered and broken life worse than earlier. He ends up staying in a place full of unemployed people like him and sees the dark conditions and fatal conditions around him. Some moments went so dark that one of his colleagues, the person who he goes out and does his chores with, chooses suicide as the last option. But the question is, didn't his mind suggest him to off himself? Because he had tons of responsibilities around him, his little sister, his ill mother, and his soon to be life partner Seema, played by Sheila Ramani. One of the saddest part of this movie is when the narrator narrates a small message for people watching the movie. कभी ना कभी तो उसके दिमाग में ये ख्याल ज़रूर आया होगा कि वो आत्महत्या कर ले. When the narrator of this movie said those lines, I just immediately felt the guilt, exasperation, and hopelessness that man must have felt in that situation. The movie itself talks a lot, and I think I'm a mere human. I can't explain all of that. And mind you, this is a movie that is a tight slap to those typecasters or people who say that Kishore was just a comedic actor and couldn't do serious roles. The movie ends up with a very deep and touching message. When almost Ratan tries to attempt for a suicide, Seema somehow manages to stop him. And the narrator says, ये अकेला नहीं था. ऐसे हजारों रतन रोज समाज में आत्महत्या करने की कोशिश करते हैं. फर्क बस इतना है कि कुछ इनके मौत का कारण बनते हैं और कुछ इन्हें बचाने की कोशिश करते हैं. मेरी आपसे यही विनती है कि अगर कोई रतन आपको मिल जाए तो उसे मौत की मुंह में जाने से रोक लीजिएगा. This alone touched my mind, and then I finally realized what dragged Mr Bimal Roy to create this masterpiece: the hopelessness caused by unemployment.